India has announced a $22 billion bailout package to help low-income households amid the 3-week coronavirus lockdown. Over the next 3 months, the government will provide free food and cash transfers to those in need. Neha Punia is in New Delhi, and she joins us now for more on this story. Neha, what's the significance of this welfare scheme?
Steve, 2 days ago when the Prime Minister addressed the nation in that televised speech and announced a lockdown effective almost immediately for 3 weeks, the biggest criticism was that it was ill thought out, that a lot of people who have the privilege from working from home, who don't have to worry about where their next meal is going to come from, would be able to quite comfortably self-isolate and self-distance themselves from others. But the millions of poor in the country who are daily wage earners, who rely on working every single day to pull together enough money to have a square meal for themselves and their families, would be left stranded. And in light of that, the government has announced this massive package that is $22 billion in total. The biggest highlight, of course, being that 800 million people, that's 2/3 of India's population, will be given free food for 3 months by the Indian government. They were already entitled to about 5 kgs of grains and pulses, but that quantity has now been doubled by the government, with the finance minister saying that the government doesn't want people worried about where their next meal is going to come from. There's also a cash handout, a one-time cash handout for senior citizens, for widows and disabled people. People who work under the government in the rural sector, their wages have also been marginally increased, and there's also a talk of giving money to women who hold government bank accounts as well. So most experts say this is something that was much needed, but perhaps should have been announced by the Prime Minister simultaneously when he announced that lockdown 2 days ago, because in the last 2 days we've seen significant panic on the ground, a lot of poor people hit by the last 48 hours of this nationwide lockdown.
Yeah, so considering that millions of Indians are struggling to make ends meet during this lockdown, are these measures sufficient though?
It's quite a lot of money when you look at it as a figure in isolation. I mean, it's $22 billion. It is going to help 800 million people at least get food on their plates for the next 3 months. But experts are saying that the government didn't go quite far enough. I mean, compare this to the kind of packages we've seen announced in the last 24 hours, say from the US or even from Singapore. In comparison, this is just less than 1% of India's $1 trillion GDP. Also, some of the amounts that have been announced, experts say they're not significant. For example, the one-time cash handout that's going to go out to senior citizens, widows and disabled people is just about 1,000 Indian rupees, which is not quite a lot considering the current levels of inflation. Experts are also questioning how this money is going to reach the people, how it's going to reach their hands, while there will be a direct bank transfer. Utilizing these funds is the bigger question. With a nationwide lockdown in place, with only people who work in essential services able to step out, how will people actually withdraw money from their accounts, especially the poor who don't have access to ATM cards or any other means of withdrawing their money? So those are big concerns that many experts have highlighted, but they're also saying it's a step in the right direction because at least to some extent it will help the poor of the country.
All right, thanks for that update. Neha Punia speaking to us from New Delhi.